My name's Robert. I'm one of the founders of the Solar for Schools CBS director. So the Solar for Schools CBS, the other director being Anne. I'm also the CEO of Solar Options for Schools, which looks after the systems and develops the projects. So Solar Options for Schools takes the development risk, and once the projects are ready to go, the Solar for Schools CBS funds them. And then Solar Options for Schools looks after them and develops and delivers some of the education that we'd love to share with you in a second. And the reason we set up Solar for Schools is that persuading our generation to make the significant changes needed to decarbonize in time is a challenge. We're too busy. We have other things on our plate, and maybe a certain level of denial. But the next generation, our children, do worry about the future and have some time to learn about it. And if they were empowered with the knowledge to do something about it, they are great influencers. We point out to children at schools that when they ask us, what can I do about changing climate change or fighting climate change or improving the situation? I say, well, actually, there are 2 billion young people out of the 8 billion total. That means that each of you only have to persuade 2 parents and a grandparent on average to make a difference. And you just need to learn what it is that we all need to do as a society to start making those changes happen.
This is how Solar for Schools Community Benefit Society, this is what happens. We sometimes get these lovely letters in from schools saying, oh, could we be considered? Could we be considered for a solar panel system? And here we have a school which is looking forward to having solar on its roof. Very excited. In fact, the installer is there, and the children are going, that's the roof that we're going to have our solar on. And it's a journey to end up with something like this. This just shows the variety of roofs that we end up installing on. It's flat, curved, pitched, anything really that we can work with on a school. And if a school doesn't have quite the right roofs, I'm going to pop us over here for a second, then we have been known to even do a carport. The idea is that we're able to equip those schools with those solar panels. But what's really important is, moving on to the next slide, if I can, is it's all about involving the students. And we start from day one. We start from the moment that the schools decide that they would quite like to have a system. As you can see, they can plan it. The students are encouraged to plan, and they can plan it on a computer. They can do it on a mobile phone. The school that you just saw there, or with its solar panels, is there on the right, being decked out with panels by a student who's learning to do it. And you don't have to do it online. We're very inclusive. We look at seeing if all students can have a go at doing this, and this is the paper version that students have used to plan their installs. So we stop at installation, and we involve the students again at installation. So our installers will take time out to talk to them about what's going on, to give them that impression to really take ownership of the system, because it's theirs ultimately. And then this is one, these are some of the education lessons and workshops that we run with the students, either pre or post, where they can fly drones, look at their roofs, see what's suitable, understand more about panels and what it all means. So this is really understanding the site that they're on, and understanding equally about electricity, and exploring that subject. It's absolutely essential that young people, have a hands-on approach. And Solar for Schools Community Benefit Society it's about putting those panels onto the roof, but for us, what's more important is the the investment and in the young people to have that idea about energy and security, and then we take it another step further. So we developed an app which we use, which students can either use. It was developed during COVID so that children who didn't have computers could start journeys looking at energy and environment, and then we've translated it across, so it's now web-based as well. And they're very, it's almost a gamified app which allows people to really see what's happening. And they can use it again on iPhones, iPads, computers. And the outputs are that the young people really start to gain an understanding of energy and what it's all about and what it means to them, so that they can go forward. And as Robert was saying, they can be the next generation who really, tackle the problems that we're, facing. And it's all about teamwork. So here we have some of our education team who are all bent down at the front, with an eco schools club at a boys' school. And it's, as I say, it's the learning that comes as a result of having those solar panels. Well, as a community benefit society, I think we're probably unique in that, in British Science Week, we engage directly with 1,000 students. In last quarter, so that's January to March, we had workshops with up to 6,000. We've got 200 visits planned in schools this year. And those visits and workshops and assemblies, they will reach about 30,000 children in 2024. So what does this mean in terms of installations? Well, since 2016, when we set up, Robert and I set up Solar for Schools Community Benefit Society, we've helped about 150 schools. We have about 100 schools that are waiting, like Henrell, to have solar panel systems fitted. Last year, we added 5 megawatts of solar panels. That sort of works out at around about 45 schools. This quarter, so in January to March, we've already installed, or we've started, 3 megawatts. So that's about 20 schools. And so to date, we've inspired around about 100,000 students, because we go every year to the schools where we've installed solar and run workshops.
So some people say, well, okay, we've got 150 schools we're looking after. We're doing a great job on the education side. Why do we want to grow further? Well, one is, how do you tell a group of students who come to you and say, can you please help us have solar panels? That we say, well, we've done enough now. Thank you very much. Go and find someone else. It doesn't really work. And quite frankly, we want to make a difference. We need to be in tens of thousands of schools, and not just in the UK, but eventually everywhere. But just focusing on the UK for a second, the more schools we can help, the more we can actually invest in the education piece. The fact that we added 50 schools last year means that we now have an absolutely amazing full-time teacher running our education development, who's also director of the CBS, Wendy. And the more schools we add, the more resources we can afford to employ, and the better the education delivery we can affect. So that's kind of why we're raising more. We're in the fortunate position that we have about 100 schools in the waiting list, and that's no mean feat either. In the first few years, there were years where we only managed to do 3 or 4 schools. So the problem's changed slightly from the time it took to get a school on board, and now the challenge is, can we raise enough money from enough individuals to actually help all those schools, to enable us to continue to deliver more and more impact. So to take those sort of seeds from bondholders and then turn them into larger pots of money that enable even more impact. And that increases the impact of bondholders and also de-risks it for bondholders. Ultimately, there are about 26,000 schools in the UK, and they would require somewhere close to about 2 billion of investment. Clearly, we're not going to do that with bondholders on our own, but if bondholders can can help us raise the additional sums that go with it, we can then make a really big difference.
Where we come from is we come from the feeling that we want equality. We want every school across the country to have equal access to solar power. And we do that because we work in a lot of deprived areas. So one of the reasons that the National Grid is aligning itself with Solar for Schools is because they want to reach out into those deprived areas. So what we do is, which is unlike a lot of other energy groups, is we raise nationally in order to deliver nationally into schools in deprived areas, in areas where parents don't necessarily have that money to raise to support investments locally. So the support that we get from bondholders nationally really adds to the value of our community, and it really helps deliver change within areas of the country which would not otherwise be able to look or consider having solar power. So if you look at our schools and the type of schools we have and where they are, you'll find that a high proportion of them are in what's known as socially deprived areas of the country. And I think that's really, really important in terms of, you know, are we looking to compete? No, we're not. We're looking to provide equal access to all children across the you know, England, the UK, to have access to solar power and the education that comes with it. The importance of the bondholder can't be underestimated. We're a community benefit society. It's all about the community, and we have an amazing community of schools, and our existing bondholders are incredible, you know, and they are part of our community. So they are really, really important to us. So thank you to all those who have funded, invested previously. If you're on, thank you very much. And if you'd like to join us, then we'd love to have you on board.